breeder of every puppy you're offering for sale. So that's 2014. You can read the bill, you all probably remember it. Then in 2015, we passed Senator Stanley's bill, where he also mandated that they sell shelter pets. Now in 2017, we're confronted with this bill, which would allow communities to totally do away with choice. Consumers would not have any choice in what kind of a dog or cat they got. And moreover, there are no lemon laws, no regulations, nothing affecting rescue and shelter animals. It is totally caveat emptor, buyer beware. And in 2015, do you know what happened? Rescues brought in rabid dogs to Virginia from Egypt. And I have the CDC report on this incident. It came in through Kennedy, I believe, and they had to launch an investigation all up and down the eastern seaboard. They had to interview anybody that came in contact with this dog. Then some people had to have treatment. All the dogs that came in contact with the affected dog had to be quarantined for many months. Is this really what we want to do? Do we really want to allow jurisdictions to just bring in animals that have nothing to support their consumer protections? If anybody wants to see the CDC report, I have it here.
Anybody else? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Elizabeth Brinkley. I'm an AKC breeder of merit, legislative liaison to the American Kennel Club, and I've been raising and training dogs for 50 years. As part of my work, I have researched commercial kennels. For your information, according to the latest statistics from PJAC, there are only 1,538 commercial kennels in this country, and they are inspected yearly, sometimes 2 and 3 times a year if they have violations. Federal law states that a kennel that has violations, that pet shops should not buy from them. If a pet shop is buying from a kennel that has violations, the pet shop is at fault for buying from a kennel with violations. As far as rescue, I've done rescue since 1981. I totally admire and respect anyone who is willing to take a rescue dog into their home, because I know for a fact, from having taught obedience training classes for more than 30 years, that rescue dogs can be a wonderful creature. They can also be a ticking time bomb. They have no behavioral history. They have no medical history. They come into the shelter. People have the best of intentions when they drop a dog off at a shelter, and they lie. And they say, this dog is wonderful. And the dog may be dropped off because it bit somebody. But they're not going to tell the shelter that because they want to see the dog get a new home. So I'm not opposed to rescue. I think rescue is a good thing. I like to see very experienced homes doing rescue, and I help them do rescue. But I'm saying, don't take away the choices of Virginia citizens of buying a young puppy from a pet store that comes from a USDA licensed kennel, and I could show you photographs of some of these kennels, which are absolutely superb. I'd kill to have a kennel like that. You know, you could eat off the floor in some of these kennels. And one of the worst ones that is downplayed and sorry, the word's escaping me, that has the worst reputation is the Amish farmers, because they can't defend themselves, because they don't come forward, because they don't know better. Well, they're in the process of learning, because they're business people, and they're learning how to deal with it. And I can show you Amish kennels that are absolutely spotless, too. There's always going to be a bad apple in any kennel. And we have bad breeders, we have bad pet stores, we have bad commercial breeders. It happens. We can't penalize everyone for faults of a few. As in with most dog laws, one size does not fit all. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jamie Ashton. I live in Spotsylvania County. Volunteer with different rescues. To kind of speak on that, if you get a dog from a shelter, you can absolutely return it. You can return it if it doesn't work out in a week. rights to choose what dog they get, it would bring more money into the county. It would limit the dogs from coming from other states where we know there's issues. It would encourage people in Virginia to become licensed breeders, to bring money into the county. Dreamy Puppy, which is the known example today, opened up in Spotsylvania County for roughly 7 months. They got charged for 3 counts, only 3 employees, of tax evasion. $38,000 of tax evasion just on the county level for those 7 months. That's a lot of money that's not coming in here. And also these dogs that come from out of state are bought for generally $300. They're leased. So you cannot return it to these stores. I know 2 people who have leased dogs from Dreamy Puppy. They're leased through a finance company, specifically Wags or others. I promise you, it is leased through a company called Wags, W-A-G-S. The dogs are leased. So a dog that has a ticket price for $1,500.
That sounds like an area for review.
A dog that is leased for $1,500, by the time you do your 23-month lease, it's about $3,500. Then you pay a buyout fee, just like you do with anything else. You pay a buyout fee. Now, how can you lease the animal that Dreamy Puppy purchased from a western state, brought in here in a U-Haul, which is how they're transported? So it is a bigger issue, and it would bring a lot of economy to Virginia. It would enable people to get local dogs, to go out and not just pick a puppy off an internet picture, to actually go out to the breeder's home, farm, whatever, and meet the dogs and see which one they want, and so on and so forth. So, sorry.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, well, first of all, thank you for your time and for everybody who participated on all sides. I think there are a couple of conclusions we can draw from this. One is that Virginia has been a leader in this area for a long time, thanks to the work of this committee and others. And so we certainly have good laws on the books already. And there are some questions about enforcement both at the federal and the state level. So I think that's certainly a work in progress. And I think we'll always find bad examples whenever we look at any laws and lack of enforcement and lack of resources. But the flip side of it, though, is that it does also seem that there are still, notwithstanding all these laws that we've passed over the last 10 years, there are still abuses happening today. There are still many sources where these puppy mills and others are bringing dogs into our pet stores, and the consumers and end user is ultimately being cheated out of receiving the product that they wanted. And so I think adding one more tool in the toolbox for local governments to be able to regulate what is in their best interest in their own communities, I think is probably the right next step. And that's all this bill does. It's a very modest bill that says each locality can decide for themselves. If they believe the laws statewide or federal is adequate, they don't have to do anything. But if they believe that they need that extra oomph in order to go after those guys, especially for the companies that are going belly up and there's no other recourse, the best way is to send a message that in our county we will not have these types of businesses at all. So to the extent that that becomes a county's and local jurisdiction's decision, I think this bill would provide them with that option. So it's a local option that provides them with that one extra set of tools that they can use to enforce, so that we can all end up in the same place that everybody on all sides of the issue agrees, which is to make sure that healthiest dogs are placed in the homes of loving families. And so with that, I'd like to ask that we support the bill.
No, you are.
Quick question, if somebody could wake up Larry Land, I have a question, serious, Larry? Larry as our VACO representative. Serious, can local governments require a bond of certain businesses through local ordinance right now?
Oh, boy, I wish I could answer that in this
Okay.
particular case. I really can't.
Okay.
This is an issue that we really have not addressed internally.
Thank you.
I just had a comment. I've had a lot of people come to me and complain about dogs that they, puppies and cats and everything from shelters. And here we are, I mean, a lot of those just don't work out. They have severe, especially behavioral problems. So, I mean, this bill is saying, if you're gonna go buy a puppy, you gotta buy one of those. That's not necessarily a good problem.
Any other comments for the committee? Okay. Does anyone have a motion?
Move to table the bill.
Second. Okay. So motion table bill is non-debatable. All in favor of the motion table bill, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Feed those two
Okay.
again.
Subcommittee adjourned.
held it together a bit because I was so dogged. I feel like I'm gonna have to Uber my way here. No, I'm just saying your level of interest and patience. That's okay. I was gonna stay during the whole thing anyway because it's a new interest for me. And, you know, if I'm gonna be passionate about certain things, I need to understand how the system works. So.